Have you ever wondered how to get started in floral carving for leathercraft? Have you not known what tools to use or how to use them? Well, this is a great way in less than 10 minutes for you to learn everything you need to know to get started. So let's grab your tools and get to it. The swivel knife is arguably the most important tool in this process, used to cut the lines for all of your designs. It is made up of the blade, barrel, and saddle for you to use while carving. They also feature different blade shapes, sizes, and materials to get exactly what you need. You'll also need a stylus to transfer your pattern onto your leather before you start carving. Many, like this, are dual-tipped. This one has a ball at one end and a straight point at the other. Another great resource are books. This Leathercraft handbook is one that I recommend over and over to all beginners. You will also need your stamping tools. This basic stamp set comes with all 6 of the basic tools you will need to get started with floral carving. You will also need a maul or mallet made from the material and of the weight that you prefer, so test a couple and see which you like. Finally, you will need veg tan leather. This leather is specific to carving, and you will not be able to do it with most other leather types. Start by casing your leather to get it ready for the steps that we'll be taking to start our carving. If you have questions about casing or you're not sure how to do it, follow this link to check out our video on how to case, and I'll see you in the next step. Using the stylus, we're going to transfer our pattern onto our cased leather. This will not work well if your leather has not been cased, so make sure it's got some water in it and it's had a little bit of time to settle. I'm using the pointy end, not the ball point, but it really depends on your preference. And make sure to check frequently to make sure your design is being transferred visibly enough that you will be able to come back and carve all of those lines with your swivel knife. Next, we'll make our swivel knife cuts. It's important to remember a number of things when using your swivel knife. No matter the blade or size and shape that you are using, you want to make sure that your swivel knife is at a 90-degree angle and tipped forward slightly. You also want to make sure to let the tool do the work. A lot of beginners like to press as hard as they can, but realistically, your tool should be able to cut through your leather well without you having to do a bunch of work and pressing super duper hard. Cutting at this 90 degrees will prevent undercutting, which is a steep slant to your cut, which will make beveling much more difficult in later steps. Make sure to practice these lines. Cut them over and over and over again to get the feel for how your knife works. Each blade and each knife will be different, so take your time and learn your tool. Now let's grab our 6 basic stamping tools, and we're going to start with the Camouflager. The Camouflager, also known as a sunburst or a cam, can be stamped many different ways, from a full stamp, a left or a right tilt, or just using the toe. Here, we're going to go up the vein. Stamped in succession with varied pressure gives the design extra depth. The camouflage got its name because it disguises or camouflages a line, as shown here. Next, we'll use the pear shader. It got its name because it looks like the shape of a pear, or it's also called a thumbprint in Sheridan style tooling. There are 2 parts to this, the heel, the larger end, and the toe, the smaller end. The heel is used in larger open areas, where the toe is used in narrow spaces. The areas stamped with the pear shader will burnish or darken the leather, giving the design extra depth and dimension. This is considered a walking tool, which is a technique of striking the tool and moving it to overlap the previous impression, all in one continuous motion. For the third tool in our basic 6, we have the beveler. A beveler is used to bring parts of the design forward or push others back, and also has a heel and a toe. The toe is the steep angle that the bevel is made, which makes the impression as shown here. This tool is also a walking tool where you will strike and overlap the previous impression by about a half for a smooth, even effect. A beveler's impressions create highs and lows in your design, which will give you a lot of depth and flow. You can also bevel on either side of a line. to create a raised effect or a recessed effect. This is where your undercutting from the swivel knife comes into play. If you undercut or angled your swivel knife blade, beveling will be exceptionally difficult to do well. Next, we'll use the veiner. And a veiner is primarily used tilted to the right or left to make the vein impression in flowers and leaves and scrolls. The vein design is often used to create tightly rolled up fern leaves, and applying different pressure on the tool will create depth and dimension in a design. There are many different sizes and shapes of veiners, so make sure to take a look and find the one that you like best. Next, we have the cedar, and the use is in the name. A cedar tool is used to make flower centers, seeds, and decorative accents on designs. Normally, a cedar is held straight up and struck straight down to create one whole impression. However, to give a design more depth, the cedar can be tilted to one side and struck firmly or lightly. Finally, we have the backgrounder, and this tool is also called a matting tool. It's used to push down and add texture to the background of the design. Hold it straight up and down and walk the tool as you did with the Beveler and Pear shader. Be sure to keep the overlapped impression smooth and even, not choppy. Try to apply the same pressure on each strike to get a really even appearance. Now you can go back and make some adjustments, whether that's extra beveling, a little more pear shading, whatever you think your design needs to clean it up and give the overall appearance that you're looking for. For the last step, grab your swivel knife one more time for decorative cuts. These are made as a finishing touch to a carved design. Practice making curved cuts on a scrap of leather before making your cuts on your project. Plan your cuts out or do it freehand, whatever seems best to you. Decorative cuts should flow with the flow of the design, so take your time and pick where you want to place your cuts. And remember, practice, practice, practice. You can't do these enough times. Do it once, do it twice, and come back and do a third time. Practice your line cuts individually as well as in the scope of an entire project. Thank you for watching, and if you've got questions, make sure to drop them in the comments. If there's topics you'd like us to talk about, make sure to leave those for us as well. And as always, our friends, happy crafting!